Hey there, artists. Today I've got something that's going to be very controversial. We're going to be talking about The War of Art by Steven Pressfield and how that has been misleading artists for a long time. Now, let's go back to the early 2000s. I was an artist. I remember buying The War of Art. I remember buying The War of Art and absolutely loving it. And maybe because that was the flavor at the time, a lot was going on in the world. And then as life went on, I completely forgot about it and had to give up my art for a little while. But when I did that, I went deep into the spiritual work. So what is it about the War of Art? Well, number one, it's the title. It's misleading. Number two, what he says is the enemy of art and of artists, he claims, is resistance. Now, I've been talking a lot about resistance. Resistance is not necessarily the enemy. There is a finer nuance that he didn't touch on, maybe because he didn't go far enough into the nature of consciousness and creative energy itself. It is not a battlefield. That is an incredibly masculine way of looking at it. So I get a guy is going to think like that, but it is not creativity. Creativity itself is feminine energy. It doesn't go to war at all. So for all these years, for decades, artists have actually believed and taken as gospel that you must fight the good fight and you've got to show up and grit in and all the things that are unnecessary. Show up, yes. I've always been up for that, show up for sure. But to be at war and to fight, that is so aggressive. It's violent. And you don't need to. You don't have to do that. The discipline is to show up. There is no war. So let me explain what I'm talking about. So when we look at the nature of consciousness, which is mystical, which is creative, all the same energy, we see that there is a pattern to it, which is what I completely create the artist's return around. And the more I get into this work, the more I'm happy with the fact that I chose the word return for artists. Because essentially, that is what we're talking about here. The fight isn't with resistance. So in the scheme of things, resistance is more like a veil. It's not something to fight. It's like a fog has come over. It's like a concealment. It is actually, resistance is 100% some kind of concealment. Now, it can come up in a way that looks more material, more solid. It could be something along the lines of a time constraint, a money constraint, something like that. But it is always just a little piece of concealment. Something is concealed. And so you are better off to go into self-inquiry or into meditation and use, again, what I teach in the Artist's Return. Use that to inquire what is happening, what's come up, what is present, and use the tools that I give you to handle it, to return. What do we return to? Flow. What do we return to? Our nature, the knowledge of who we are at our deepest, most innermost spiritual nature, which is creative. They're one and the same. So there is a forgetting. At the end of the day, if we were going to have to find an enemy, it would be simply that we have forgotten and something needs to happen for us to recognize, to remember who we are, creative, mystical beings of consciousness. It is all about the movements of consciousness. So to turn up to fight every day, forever, if you're not in a flow state, can you see? Can you see? That's not the way. Now look, it may work for some, and I can, definitely for the masculine ones. But it's unnecessary. And even if they do brilliant work, I would say it wasn't actually the fight. If anything, I'd say that was getting in the way. And I'd love to see what they could have done if they weren't. if they had more awareness and they brought more consciousness, more conscious creating to the forefront. So let me say that again. We are at war with nothing, only ourselves. Resistance is built into the creative process. Therefore, it is part of it. It is not something to fight. It is something to learn to understand and to recognize. Resistance really, when we're talking on a mystical level, which is where it comes from, is a layer, a veil. It's like a little concealment, and there's a truth behind that. There is a way, there is something we need to do to get to the other side or to remove the veil. You don't pull out a knife and cut into the fog. It's not going to work. Unless, of course, that makes you feel good. Feeling good is good. There's a much cleverer way to manage it. Yes, show up. I keep saying show up, but don't fight. Move with the energy. Be okay. Be allowing. Acknowledge and accept what is going on. So a wonderful book, but it's only halfway there. In fact, the nuance that is missing is extremely important. His book is very dualistic in nature. There is me and there is another, and I've got to fight it down, and that other thing is resistance, and it's not true. There is me, I'm creative, I'm whole, I'm spiritual, I'm mystical, I'm all of creativity and creative energy, and inherent in that is a forgetting of that when something comes up to make my art better, to make me think a little bit deeper, to make me find another angle, maybe even to stop me from going down a path that's not really the best for me. Now, if I don't fight that, if I work cleverly with that, I'm working consciously with full awareness. But if I just get in there and start to hack it all down to just push through, A, waste of time. B, may not be the best work. Seriously, even if you're writing a great piece, it could be a masterpiece. And whatever, and you're missing something really, really valuable in the embracing and the allowing of the resistance, which is simply a little bit of ignorance, a little bit of a veil, a little fog has come over, something has got in the way, and we don't need to go, get out of the way. That's so done. Like I said, it's very masculine, and creativity is not that. Anyway, I'd love to hear, how did that sit with you? Did you get an insight out of that? Would you love to know more? I would love you, if you are enjoying these, to please like, subscribe, and share these videos. It would mean the world to me to keep getting this work out. And of course, if you're curious about the Artist's Return, where we touch on and get you started on this journey, please go to my website, matakamaleshwari.com.